Why does your family cost us £500 million a year, Charles?
Ah, yes.
Your family costs us £500 million. Why don't you pay your gardeners minimum wage? You are my king.
£27 million a year for the production of land houses.
God bless your Majesty.
Have you ever wondered how much the monarchy costs you, the taxpayer? Well, in Newmarket, one brave soul did just that. It was a day that was supposed to be like any other royal walkabout in the quaint town of Newmarket. King Charles, in his usual regal demeanour, was making his way through the crowd. But this day was destined to be different. A voice rose above the chatter, a question cutting through the air like a knife. A member of the public, an ordinary citizen, dared to ask what many had been silently pondering. Why does your family cost £500 million a year, Charles? There was a pause, a ripple of shock, then an echo of murmurs. The question hung in the air, unanswerable. The guards, the ceremony, the fanfare, none of it could drown out or deflect the raw, unfiltered truth of that question. The monarchy, the institution, the pageantry, the golden thrones, all of it cost the UK taxpayers an astounding £500 million a year. In a country where schools are underfunded, the National Health Service is stretched thin, and families are forced to choose between heating and eating, the question reverberated with even more weight. What exactly are we paying for? Charles, the monarch, the symbol of the institution, said nothing. What could he say? The people were no longer just bowing and waving. They were questioning, they were challenging. This was a moment of realization, a moment of awakening. The royal facade was cracking, revealing the harsh economic reality beneath. The people, the taxpayers, were no longer silent spectators. They were active participants, questioning the cost of the monarchy, demanding transparency and accountability. And so, the rumble in Newmarket began. A rumble that would resonate far beyond the borders of the small town. A rumble that would make not just the royals, but the entire nation question the cost of the monarchy. No guards or ceremony could shield Charles from the truth, and perhaps it's made him and us question the cost of the monarchy. So, what is the price of a king? £500 million per year, to be exact. That's right. The cost of maintaining the pomp and pageantry of the monarchy doesn't come cheap. And who foots this princely bill? You guessed it, the UK taxpayers. Let's break it down, shall we? A large chunk of this amount goes towards the sovereign grant, around £82.2 million to be precise. This fund is used to cover the costs of travel, security, staff, and the upkeep of royal palaces. Then there's the personal wealth of the royal family, which includes their private estates and properties. These are often exempt from inheritance tax, a privilege not extended to the average UK citizen. But hold on a moment, there's more. We also have to account for the cost of security for the royal family. While the exact figure is kept under wraps for security reasons, estimates suggest it could be as high as £100 million a year. Now, if we add up all these costs, we arrive at the staggering sum of £500 million annually. That's equivalent to the cost of running 2 large hospitals or educating around 40,000 children. While the monarchy does bring in tourism revenue, it's worth asking, is it enough to justify such a hefty price tag? Especially when we consider the state of our public services. Our schools are underfunded, our healthcare system is stretched thin, and many families are struggling to make ends meet. The cost of kingship is not just financial, it's societal. It's about the choices we make as a nation, about our priorities and values. In a country where basic services are struggling, it's no wonder the people are starting to question where their money is going. It's not just about pounds and pennies, it's about what we value as a society. And for many, the cost of a king is starting to look like a price too high to pay. Charles had no response to the question, but what could he say? A silence that spoke volumes. It was not the silence of a king contemplating his answer, but rather the silence of a king cornered by a question he couldn't answer. Charles, standing amidst his subjects, was suddenly the silent king. But his silence was not met with quiet. Instead, it fueled the growing public outrage. A simple question had sparked a wildfire, and the king's silence was only adding more fuel. The people were no longer content to simply bow and curtsy. They demanded answers. They were no longer subjects, they were citizens. The implications of Charles's silence run deep. It's not just about the £500 million a year. It's about the widening gap between the monarchy and the people. It's about the disconnect between the glittering palaces and the struggling households. It's about the contrast between the crown's and the empty stomachs. Charles's silence is not just a personal failure, it's an institutional one. It's a testament to a system that has lost touch with the people it's supposed to represent. A system that in its grandeur and pageantry has forgotten the very people who fund it. The silent king stands as a symbol of an institution that has grown distant and aloof, a symbol of a monarchy that has lost its voice amidst the clamour of public outrage. And the people, they're not staying silent. They're raising their voices. They're asking questions. They're demanding accountability. They're challenging the status quo. Charles's silence has created a vacuum that's being filled by the voices of ordinary citizens. His silence has given rise to a new wave of public discourse, a discourse that's questioning the very foundation of the monarchy. The people are no longer bowing to the king, they're questioning him. The silent king is now faced with a populace that refuses to remain silent. The tide is turning, and it's turning fast. From Newmarket to the nation, a message is spreading, #not my king. It began as a murmur, a whisper on the wind, a single hashtag that dared to question the status quo. But what is a whisper, if not the precursor to a roar? And now, the roar is deafening. The #not my king movement has surged across the digital landscape, gaining traction on social media platforms, in conversations around dinner tables, and in the hearts of those who dare to question the cost of monarchy. This is not a movement of hushed voices and respectful dissent. This is a movement of loud, passionate, and determined citizens who demand answers. They've seen the numbers, they've felt the pinch, and now they're asking the question, why are we paying for a monarchy that doesn't seem to be paying us back? The implications of this movement are far-reaching and profound. It's a wake-up call, not just for King Charles, but for the entire monarchy. This is a call to action, a demand for transparency, a plea for change. It's a reminder that the monarchy is not an unassailable institution, but a product of the people it's supposed to serve. The question now is, will the monarchy listen? Will they hear the voices of their citizens, the very people who fund their lavish lifestyles, or will they continue on their golden path, deaf to the cries of those who are struggling to make ends meet? This is not just a movement, it's a revolution of thought, of conversation, of action. It's a call to redefine what a monarchy means in the 21st century, and to question whether a monarchy is what we need at all. The #not my king movement is not just about King Charles, it's about all of us. It's about our right to question, to challenge, to demand better. It's about our voices being heard, our concerns being acknowledged, our lives being valued. #not my king is more than a hashtag, it's a movement. So, what does this mean for the future of the monarchy? This question hangs in the air, echoing through the streets of Newmarket and reaching the far corners of the United Kingdom. The monarchy, a centuries-old institution, is being challenged like never before. A future scenario could see the monarchy becoming purely ceremonial, with no taxpayer funding. This model, akin to the Japanese monarchy, would see the royal family carry out their traditional duties, but without the financial burden on the public. They would continue to inspire, engage, and represent the UK, but the golden thrones might need to be pawned. Alternatively, the monarchy could be dissolved entirely. This is a radical option, but not entirely unprecedented. France, for instance, made the switch from monarchy to republic over 2 centuries ago. The royal family would become private citizens, with their palaces turned into museums, perhaps. Of course, there's always the possibility of reform. The monarchy could take a hard look at its expenses and make significant cuts. Fewer royal engagements, smaller staff, less extravagant living. These changes could reduce the financial burden on taxpayers while preserving the institution. But keep in mind, these are all hypotheticals. The monarchy's future is not ours to predict, but the public's to decide. And right now, that public is frustrated, angry, and voicing their opinions louder than ever before. The rumble in Newmarket is just the beginning. It's a sign of the times, an indication of the shifting public sentiment. The monarchy, for so long a symbol of the UK's history and tradition, is facing a crossroads. The future is uncertain. Will the monarchy adapt to these changing tides, or will it be swept away in the storm of public outrage? Only time will tell what the future holds for the monarchy. But one thing is crystal clear: the people are no longer staying silent.